Hello, everybody. This is Brother Jarvis Mayo of Broadstreet Church of Christ. We're back. We've been away for a little while, and we want to apologize for that. Upon this Wednesday, we want to look at Genesis chapter 4 and the verses number 9, where the Lord asked Cain, "Where is Abel thy brother?" And he said, "I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?" As we're looking at this, we want to go through some things to bring you up to speed. Verses 1 and 2, Adam and Eve had Cain, then they had Abel. God asked both of them to do a sacrifice and asked them to do it a certain way. Abel did his way God asked him to do it, but Cain didn't do it God's way, and it wasn't acceptable. And when it wasn't acceptable to God, Cain got infuriated. And in verse 6 and 7, as he was walking, talking with his brother, he became furious and he killed his brother. God, in his ultimate wisdom, already knew what had taken place. So he asked Adam this rhetorical question: "Where is thy brother?" And the answer from Cain's response was another rhetorical question back, trying to get the blame off of him for what he's doing, acting like there's nothing happening. But the question implies a denial of responsibility for his brother's well-being and challenge to God's authority. This passage also explored the theme of human accountability, sin, and conscience of rejecting responsibility. What are you trying to say? A lot of times we try to hide what we do and play it off like we had no part in nothing that was going on. Not to realize God knows everything that we do before we even done it. And this here, all Cain had to do was admit to his brother and have some remorse in behind it. Now, I know what we see here is the first murder that was recorded in the Bible. But I also see here where this talks about how we are to treat one another and how we ought to be loving to one another. It also shows us how the community of the church can work. If you be responsible for worrying about somebody else instead of talking bad or down about somebody else, then guess what you'll have? You'll have a stronger community in the church. So let's look at this question: "Where is thy brother Abel?" The question was meant to get a response out of Cain. It would get him to respond and confess to the things that he done. The question served to give Cain an opportunity to confess his sins of murdering his brother, and taking responsibility for his actions. Wow. When I think about people taking responsibility for the action, that really goes to show that there's a lot of stuff that we don't understand when we don't take responsibility. Sometimes the things that we do are harder on us because we don't take responsibility. What are you trying to tell me? You know how sometimes we'll get mad and we say, well, our kids made us say things we shouldn't say. Or my anger got out of control and I said some things that I could not say. Instead of just saying I was mad, I'm out of control, and I need to have your prayers. But too many times we want to take that upon ourselves to pass the buck to get the responsibility off of us. But this clearly established God's all-knowing nature. God already knew. All he wanted was him to confess what he did. You know what? God had to whoop us sometime, and whoop us and chastise us until we just come clean on what we do. See, the question was to get to his conscience, his part of him that knowing I did this, but all I need to do is come forth. Have you ever done something that you know was wrong, and it wrestled with you, and it wrestled with you, and it wrestled with you, and it ate at you, and it bugged you, and it bothered you until finally you got to somebody and say, hey man, look, I can't say this no more. I can't take it. I can't take it. Let me tell you, I'm the one that broke your vest. I'm the one that accidentally broke your watch. I was the one that accidentally broke the window. That's when you come clean with stuff like that. And you don't realize when you holding stuff back and you know you're wrong, man, you can't rest at night. And when you can't rest at night, guess what happens? You toss and turn. This stuff can make you literally sick to your stomach when you know you did someone wrong and you just can't come to yourself or let your pride just say, I'm sorry. Watch this. We go through too much stuff. Go through heartache. We go through pain. We go through stress. We go through anxiety. And all we have to say is, I'm sorry. Lord, forgive me. We'll miss church for every little reason, but we'll go to work with every reason that we have not to go. But back to our lesson. See, Cain's response is, I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper? It reveals a lack of remorse for number one. You killed your brother. You don't even have the remorse to admit that you killed your brother. And first, it implies him in a crime. You done committed murder of your brother and you have the audacity to say, I don't know where he is. Am I my brother's keeper? Wow, it takes a person to get very, very angry to kill another person because you didn't do what you were supposed to have done. But you know that we do have that in the church. We got some members that are jealous of other members, so we try to find things that we could do to put down that member. We even do it in our homes, on our jobs. We'll make excuses why we didn't do what we do, or we didn't get the raise that we did, but we didn't put the work in to get the raise. And that's the community that we're talking about. When you ask yourself, am I thy brother keeper? When you got brothers and sisters that you know going straight, and you step up to help them to get back on the right path. When we have brothers and sisters miss church, you pick up the phone and say, hey, bro, we missed you. Where you was at? You all right? Excuse me, not to say where you was at, but just to ask you, are you okay? To show some concern. It takes a rough person to knowing that there's a brother sick and you don't even have the audacity to call and say, hey, man, hey, brother, hey, sister, how you doing today? See, the stronger the community is, the stronger everything is going to be. If everybody cares about somebody, then the strength of loving each other grows more fonder. But you got some people don't care if some folks never come back to church. You got some people be glad they don't show back up. But that's not how we supposed to be. One of the things that really it gets me when people been gone, the first thing you want to ask them is where they at? Where you been? What you been doing? Instead of being glad, that person had the courage to walk back in the door, come back to the assembly, come back to church, come back to where we worship at, come back to the fold. We're more worried about what they was out there doing than being rejoiced that they came back and encouraged them to stay back. And that's what Cain did to Abel. He killed his brother and had no remorse for what he done. No, so more remorse. He got the audacity to say, I know not where he's at. Is it my time to keep up with him today? You just murdered your brother with no remorse. But see, you got to realize God do things and put us in situations to teach us when we're wrong. God has a way of working with you and let you go through things and let you get wound up in some stuff till you realize you got to come clean with God. I remember one time I spiraled down so bad that God had to move everybody away from me. So I realized, that there was nobody to look to but to God. But he had to take those measures for me to realize that, hey, you got to realize that, hey, the problem is not everybody else. The problem lies in you. You ain't got where you want to be because you ain't gave me the praise. You ain't gave me the glory. You haven't admitted to where you done wrong. You haven't been like Cain and said, I'm not my brother's keeper. I can care less about what goes on. I can care less about how they feel, how you doing. And it just goes on and on and on. But when you read this text, God is trying to get Cain to understand, hey, you ought to want to be worried about your brother or your sister. Yeah, sister so-and-so, she might have a problem. She can't make it. But it doesn't give you the right not to call and check up on that person. Brother so-and-so might have an addiction problem. But you still ought to pick the phone up and call and check on it. Because guess what? When the shoe is on the other foot, you want somebody to call and check up on you. See, we have to realize it's all about God. It ain't about us. Man, the stronger the bond is in the church, the stronger the church will be. When I know you got my back and I got your back, that's a union that the devil can't get into. See, what the devil do when we don't take responsibility for what we do, the devil get in our mind and make think that it's everybody else the problem except for me. Man, I done seen some situation where something is said and somebody get mad and start talking all crazy, walking off, and then that person later on wonder why don't nobody want to be bothered with you. Man, nobody want to be bothered with somebody who's always miserable, fussing and complaining. Nobody do. So guess what? When people are missing in church, give them a phone call. If you see a brother and sister straying, try to help them get back on the right path. Don't shun the responsibility of the community. When we were growing up, we always used to say it takes a community to raise a child. Guess what? It takes a community to help us to remain on the right path. Sometimes we all slip off. But if I know if I slip, you got my back. You just made us stronger. And now the devil can't get in between us. Once again, this is Brother Jarvis Mayo from the Broadstreet Church of Christ, bringing you Grand Horizon. We just want to tell you we love you, and there's absolutely nothing nobody can do about it. Thank you.